Hello and welcome. Of course, it's still Nigeria Decides 2023, and we're going to be taking a look at the election review, what we have seen so far. And I am Precious Chukudi, and joining me to talk about, of course, the election review is Mr. Gbero Olajigbe, Executive Director of Emergency and Risk Alert. It's good to have you join me this afternoon, Mr. Gbero.
It's a pleasure being with you.
All right. Nigerians came out en masse to, vote their choice, vote their conscience. Let's start by, taking a general look at the elections. What have you observed so far?
Well, I think there is a significant departure from the claim of INEC that it was prepared for the election because of the reports we are getting across the country. Election was supposed to be based on beavers, but it's shocking to learn that several parts of Nigeria didn't even use beavers. So they voted on the basis of manual registration. That was one of the unexpected thing or process of the process that INEC told us that was fail proof that you have to pass through beavers. So we now know that people voted without passing through beavers. That is one thing which will affect the credibility of the outcome of the election. And also, in many parts of the country, we had issues of suppression of voters by where a particular party is popular, and they attempted and actually prevented those they felt would be opposing to them from voting. We have had that report. And of course, skirmishes of violence, we have seen that also. So we can say, without any equivocation, that there is a very significant departure from what INEC call near perfect preparation. So it was not an effective preparation from the reports we have received so far. And of course, the logistic challenges that were faces. Election ordinarily, according to INEC rule, was supposed to be ended by 2 p.m. But it didn't even start at 2 p.m. in some places. So we had that one too. And it projected into the night of yesterday. And even some people are expected to even vote today. So those are challenges that compromise electoral credibility that we need to know how far this has gone to affect the credibility of election that took place yesterday. And also reports of inability to transmit results from the polling units. So that one was rampant. Almost 6 hours after elections were conducted in several places and rounded up by 2 or at most 3 o'clock yesterday, no election result have been transmitted to INEC server, which was one of the expectations of purchasing beavers and using beavers. So largely, we have not benefited much from the usage of beavers, at least largely to the extent that, one, people were not registered on time, and those that were registered to vote, after voting and after declaration of result could not be immediately transmitted to the receiver. The implication of that is that there is likelihoodness of tampering with that result. because that was not the expectation when BVAS is being projected as the almighty formula to the electoral problems we're having in Nigeria.
All right, Mr. Agbero.
So we can see the end of technology.
Yes, let me take you back on INEC logistic problem. And it's been 24 years after, and it is still a conversation till now. Logistics is always one of the excuses that INEC could put on foot and say that that's one of the problems that we have. And I remember like weeks back, INEC came out to continue to tell us that they are well prepared for this election, that nothing is going to stop it, not even BVAS, not even ad hoc staff, name it, that not even cash, because that was also a problem where they said the no cash situation was definitely going to affect the election and all that. Even CBN had come out to tell them that no, we'll provide all the resources that you need, and they confirmed that they've gotten all that they need from the CBN. Why are we still having that conversation till now?
Even if you realize, several weeks ago we discussed this issue of preparation of finance, and I projected my reservation, because you can't be doing things the old way and you feel that you are going to be okay with it. Do we really have option? Are we going to be stuck with using drivers as our logistics and everything? Federal government has parastatals that has offices across the country. Is it not time? And of course, some of their works are logistic in nature. For example, several people have even talked about that when you are looking at the issue, agency like NIPOS. They have offices in all local governments. So they could serve as like, they could offer logistic support for INEC during election. And of course, they should be trained and prepared to play that role, instead of depending on largely political and compromised logisticians like road transport workers and everything. You have several reports of those bringing sensitive materials to Lagos, motor crash in Abuja, on the road, spoil on the road and everything. All these are not expected of organizations like INEC that claim to have prepared for election. This preparation, let us not miss it. It has started for over a year now that INEC has been preparing for this. My take is that they just use BVA to bamboozle everybody so that their budget could be approved. We have not benefited from their preparation. And when you look, when you combine different reports from several areas, how do you justify the fact that the rules is that people must pass through BVAS? But we are hearing now that people voted without BVAS, passing through BVAS. Are we going to declare such results? Are we going to declare results in areas that are compromised by conflict, crisis, and violence? Are we going to declare reports in areas where people are not allowed to vote or suppress their votes? Opportunity were denied. So those are issues that we should be engaged in now. It's a poor job from INEC, and the outcome, if the logic is this, if the process is faulty, the outcome cannot be right, as far as I'm concerned now. The outcome cannot be right, but then we can learn lessons from it. But I don't know how many years we are going to take, we are going to be learning lessons. Like you rightly said, for 24 years, we have not gotten this thing right. When you feel that you are moving ahead, you find out that there is a worse setback happen at the edge of what you could call appearance of success. So it's really unfortunate that we have this type of problem. I think because since the time everybody has been talking of this BVAS, almighty BVAS and everything, I've had my reservation about it. One, this is not a technological space. We don't have everything. Look at what is happening with the banking, internet banking and other things now. So we are not prepared for anything. To the extent that I learned that some people even offer their hotspot in some cases so that INEC workers could use it to transfer election. All those things have implication for electoral manipulation, depending on the partisanship and the conscience of the person that is pretending to be helper.
Yes, Mr. Agbero.
So if we are not prepared for all these things, can't we just go back to the Stone Age, queuing behind our candidate if that is what we want? Because there is no excuse for this type of complaints that is so rampant now, to the extent that we are afraid whether there will be credible outcome of election.
All right, let's talk about yeah. Sorry to cut you in. Let's talk about the partisanship of INEC ad hoc staff. Yesterday, we saw different things. If we start to mention some of the things that we saw, it would have the whole day. But let me just give an example of an NYSC copper who was killed in Kogi State. I don't know if you heard about that one. And that's just to mention one out of a lot. What do you think about it? What are your thoughts on the partisanship of INEC ad hoc stars?
Okay, which one? Which example? Which example are you giving?
I'm talking in Kogi State. A copper was killed. I think he tried to snatch a ballot box or something. He was killed in Kogi State.
Yes, I heard about that, though I didn't confirm. But I know that there was violence in Kogi State. It started even before the election, where the senatorial candidate for the Central Senatorial Zone alleged that the governor dug across the roads in an area so as to cut the area off. And of course, that is an indicator of a potential opportunity for violence. If that is done, that means that such person is prepared for violence. So I wasn't surprised about the violence in Kogi State. And of course, I am aware too that military intervened and they were able to arrest some perpetrators. And the alleged copper, ex-copper rather, wanted to snatch a badge and he was shot dead, according to what I heard. All those things compromise. They are not a type of news that is pleasant during election. In most climes, elections are for fun. You have fun when you are conducting election because you are anticipatory of a better government, encouraging the incumbent to continue in office if the people so desire. But here, election is war. And that election of yesterday was not different from war. In terms of words that people have been using, even during campaign, in terms of preparation, in terms of recruitment of antisocial miscreants, like the one that perpetrated violence in Kogi and in part of Lagos and in part of Gombe, and even in Rivers State, as we have learned. So those are issues for concern when you have a particular situation like this. But then we can still say that most of the problems that occurred yesterday, at least for now, were not predominantly or largely caused by the coppers, all the coppers, large numbers of the coppers that were recruited to conduct the election. They were perpetrated by politicians who recruited thugs, who recruited miscreants to wreak havoc on their opponents or are in areas where they are not popular. The same thing happened in those states too. A lot of, and of course, in some cases, it is embarrassing that we are hearing of violence being sponsored by the state. So it's really embarrassing that you have a state, a criminal state, that somebody that will use the authority and influence of government at state level to perpetrate atrocity in order to have undue advantage over popular opponents. So all those stories are not what we should be hearing in democracy. Democracy is about people making their choice. so it remains in almost decent climb.
All right, let's talk about what we saw. There were reports of minors trying to vote in Kano. I don't know if you saw that one. What's your take on that?
Well, Kano has history of being radical about their vote, the people they want to support and everything. And you have two strong opposition in Kano. NNPP and APC is equally strong than NNPP of Kwakwasodia. There were, even before the election, you have incidents of where the cars were burned, everything were burned. Then under that type of atmosphere, you should expect that any crime could be committed, including vote buying, including suppression of opposition, including anything to influence voter choice crimes that offer themselves for commission in an environment where you have the type of political climate that Kano presented before yesterday's election. So I was not surprised that all those problems arose in Kano. And what we should be looking at now, because one, we must, you can't just announce results without offering a semblance of justification that result is plausible in a way that is credible. So, and I have said this several times, if we do things right, we can avoid a lot of things, including post-electoral violence. So we should begin to look at ourselves whenever we have opportunity to serve our country, to do that diligently without inputting our personal biases, which has largely reflected in the election that took place yesterday.
The president and even Orji Uzor Kalu showed their ballot paper. Do you think that they were playing to the gallery, and isn't this supposed to be an electoral offense?
They are offenders. They are electoral offenders. It's embarrassing that a president could do that, and even to offer justification that he did that, so that they will know, Bola Tinubu will know that he voted for Bola Tinubu, so that he didn't betray. That is his trust issue. That should not override the law of Nigeria. It shouldn't override the electoral rules. That you voted as a president who signed that electoral bill into law, and you went ahead to display your ballot paper on which you have thumbprinted. That is unacceptable. Look, irrespective of the motivation for president to have done that, he has committed electoral offense. So I think he should be sanctioned for that. As a president, he is not above the law of Nigeria, and we should lead by example. In fact, he showed very bad example yesterday, and it's unacceptable for people to do that. Orji Kalu did the same thing, and of course, the same punishment should go to him. And it's unacceptable for you to do that. It's not only that it's in the rules of ENEC that should not be done, it's also called secret balloting. That's what you are supposed to do yesterday. Vote in secret. Nobody deserves to know who you voted for or who you did not vote for. So I think the president did not show leadership. He didn't show good example. So Orji Uzor Kalu to follow this wrong step of Mr. President that yesterday.
All right, let's talk about the behavior of the security officials, and of course, let's talk about the police. What were they supposed to be doing there? Because there were too many people who were calling on the attention of police that thugs were infiltrating their polling unit, and the police were just standing aside and they weren't doing anything. And they even had to start saying that they need to call the army. And just some few days ago, I mean, there were videos that surfaced online of armies coming into different states, and people were excited thinking that they are going to be on standby during when people are going to go cast their vote. But what we are seeing is or what we've seen actually is different. What do you think about it?
Yeah, it's unfortunate that we deploy a lot of security operatives for the purpose of this election, but I think the deployment is not justified. In the sense, we are talking of suppression of votes. We are talking of people being prevented from voting. We are talking of outright violence. We are talking of people taking law into their hands by snatching ballot boxes and everything. Then, if the environment is properly securitized, we wouldn't be talking about that. Every failure of protection, every failure of performing, of securitizing the environment, there are failures of security operatives that were deployed for the purpose of this election. I am not going to say that there was no need for soldiers to be deployed, because the environment has been hostile even before the election and everything. But it's shocking that a whole gangsters will take authority in a particular place, shooting for 30 minutes without anybody, without any deterrence from anywhere, from any security operative. So we have seen that, and it's very, very unfortunate. I cannot give them good credit for what happened yesterday, because there was intrusion of fear into the atmosphere of the election environment. So it's really unfortunate. I don't think I can rate the performance of security high and everything. And to even say that, according to report we got, that when they are called, given the numbers they have given, there is no response. At least I've gotten that from situation rooms, that every time they will call them, there are problems here and everything. Nobody is cited, nobody is seen to intervene. So those are challenges that we should begin to address. And this has called for the issue, because one, since they say Viva has come, Viva has failed, I think we should equally be thinking of how can people sit in their home now and vote, so that we know that the type of insecurity we will be expecting will be cyber security.
But Mr. Bello, do you think we even have what it takes? Do you think we even have what it takes to sit in our homes and vote if we cannot even trust the system?
That's why I'm saying that it should be part of our future plan. Look, if you want to plan that thing, what future I mean by plan, staying at your home.
Future plan is in 24 years.
What I mean by staying at our home might not be just for everybody to use computer. Those who can still not use computer and complain. For example, if we have efficient postal system, they still use it in US. If you cannot vote online, you can vote in hard copy and put it in post office. But there, though, we cannot still trust that. So, but then, what are we going to do under the situation where we have gone back now? People have returned to snatching of ballot boxes, something that we thought that we have left. In fact, yesterday there was another report that is critical that we should not forget, that where ballot boxes were not even taken, snatched, that official phone of INEC official was collected from them at gunpoint, so that they won't be able to transmit any result. So what do we do with all these type of things? So those are challenges we should begin to see. How are we going to engage? And there are a lot of it. Another thing is that it's not wise for us now to be voting. Do we actually need to vote for the president just in one day? Or can we have votes at least in 5 days? Maybe zone by zone. If it is 5 or 6 days. According to Zone Southwest, we vote this time. So that they can be properly secure and people can be properly protected, rather than thinning out our security operatives, and that has a very weak, unsupported architecture to resist and overcome challenges of electoral insecurity. Maybe we should think out of box to see how do we address this. If it is because If the problem is that we don't have enough security operatives to monitor, to secure Nigeria during election, then common sense should tell us, do we now onboard the way we vote? We need to think about that. And that is why some of us have been talking of looking at things holistically and have what we call national dialogue and national debate on what the type of country that we actually need. What some people have been calling restructuring, and which I agree that we should just come together. If it is a country of that is being peopled and driven by criminal entrepreneurs, then we agree that, okay, we want to submit to this reckless system where that turn a society or a nation into criminal police. Then, if it is a decent system that is driven by law and order that we need, then we need to sit together and see how we can achieve that. So Nigeria cannot solve this problem in silos. We have to solve our problem holistically, and that has to come through national conference, almost what we can call unfettered national conference.
All right, Mr. Aguero, since yesterday, we've been seeing different election results flying out from different corners, and according to what we know, it's only INEC that is supposed to, release this result. What does these fake results that have been flying in different areas, what does it tend to pretend?
Well, that is a state of anarchy. Personally, what ought to be is that official results should be released by INEC. And that is where I stand. But for 4 hours after election, INEC told us that the moment the result is transmitted to everybody will see it on their website. But that could not be achieved. All these things are what gives room for what you call fake news. Fake results being pushed out by people. When you don't perform your legitimate right, your original right, then that your original duty, that duty could be counterfeited by the scum and agents of confusion in society, and that is what you are seeing, and you don't even know who to blame. Who to arrest? Who do you arrest under this situation where everybody is almost mad? APC has its own version of a result. What do they call? Labour Party has its own version of report. PDP has its own version of report. Even those that don't even know anything, they will just. I saw one funny result. Somebody he said this particular party in a local government scored 500 and something thousand votes. I saw that push out. There's no local government can deliver 500,000 votes in Nigeria of today. Out of 92 million, where you have less than 40% collected this thing. So we have very dangerous electoral environment that have been taken over by criminals, by scammers, by liars, and by purveyors of fake news. So, and we cannot get it. People don't get punished for all this. And INEC is not effective enough to release results as it has promised. And that is why all these shenanigans begin to thrive in our environment.
All right, let's take a look at the zealousness of Nigerians to ensure that their vote counts. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, Nigeria should enjoy their vote count. But what do you do when you stay at the polling station, the polling booth, your booth, after voting, and somebody is telling you that he has no network to transmit the results? They counted it, of course, your report card, but you don't know what will be transmitted. What do you do about that? Now, they have left those stations today and they are at collation center. You are not there. Some of you are not there. What have been tampered with, you don't know. Some people I don't know, because there will be case. The result might be difficult to be accepted if it is true that large population of voters voted without passing through beavers. It's going to be a very huge challenge for INEC in terms of the legal implications of that. When you have set a rule and that one was brazenly violated in some areas and everything, yet you declare result or you have result. So I don't know how we are going to address most of these issues. And that is the state we are in. And that is what people have been feeding on. And look, there are ingredients of credible election. Election is credible. When you say election is free, it means that people were allowed to express their choices without any hindrance. Did that happen? Your guess is as good as mine. When you say election is fair, that means that defeat for everybody, all political parties, they are on the same level of play on the field. There is no undue advantage promoted by either political party or through violence or through enemies that could put the other party at disadvantage. And when you say that election is credible, it means that that election diligently follow rules and conditions put on the ground for the purpose of conducting such election. And when it didn't happen, these are things that resort to crisis, argument, electoral violence, whether within the context of election or post-election. So all these things have implications for our common survival as a people, as a nation, and as a government that is ready to come in. So they confirm the legitimization of any government, because it is possible for you to elect a government that has no legitimacy. So it is all these conditions, when you have made them and you come in through election that was free, fair, and credible, and almost violence-free, then you can now conveniently say that you can exercise authority and, of course, having legitimacy to rule a country. But without that, we are back to square one as a people who will not believe in the government they have, who will not trust the people in authority, and who will not respect the authority that has come through flawed electoral process.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Agbenro Olajuigbe. Thank you for sharing your thoughts with us here on Nigeria Decides 2023. Also, remember that if you want to find out up-to-date stories, you can go to our website, www.vanguardngr.com, and also our social media handles are displayed on your screen. I am Precious Chukwudi, and thank you for watching.